Imagine stepping into a future where every step that you've learned, every lesson that you've learned from the past is a stepping stone that fuels your success into the future. Hey, we're going to be talking about mapping out your future, your next steps in this episode. Hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode. Welcome back to my 100-day walk to consistency and health. We are on day number 98. That's right, 98. We've been doing this now for 97 days. And I'm so excited that you are here to join me for another episode of my 100-day walk to health, my walk to consistency. And yeah, we've been on it. So let's go ahead, let's get started. I'll see you on the walk. So I'm still excited, I'm still baffled by that number, 98. Did you hear what I said? 98. So we've been walking and we've been talking for 98 days, and we continue to grow and continue to expand. I hope that you are as excited as I am as we round the corner in this amazing trek that we've been on this journey. Remember, limitless living is not about a point in time. It's not about a destination that we reach in terms of arriving and being settled, but limitless living is a continual growth. It's a continual changing, continual expanding. And one of the major ways as we expand is to be able to say, okay, what are we going to do next? You've heard me several times give the example of our trips that we recently took to London and Paris, and how those trips were planned in such a way that we got to see and do some stuff that if it were up to me, we probably would not have done, right? Because I'm not the planner. I'm not the, hey, let's do this at this time and that's, I'm like, okay, we are here. That's exciting enough for me. But how do we take those things that we've learned and move them into the future? And that's why this episode is so important, because it helps us to begin thinking and solidifying, what are we going to do next? Where are we heading? How do we put those things into into perspective, and how do we put them into practice for our continued benefit? And so as we talk about growing and talk about moving into the future, a couple of points that I want you to know is that your journey, and you've heard me say this a little differently, we're going to put a little spin on it. We've said that your journey, as imperfect as it is, as flawed as it was, is exactly what someone else needs as the answer to their question. I want you also now to know that your journey, as imperfect as it was, as flawed as it was, as trying as it was, your journey is actually the exact answer that the future you needs to be successful. Oh, come on. You know, we talk about our journey as an example to other people, and that is important. And it is great for us to inspire and for us to want to know how we can leave a legacy, and want to know how we can teach other people, and want to know what are the best practices to get some of the things that we have done into people's psyche and thoughts. But, you know, there are times when there may be nobody around. There may be no one that's there that is there to allow you to climb on their shoulders, or to lean on them, or to cry on them, or to push them, or to have them push you in your time of need. And being able to look at your own journey and say, you know what? I don't have to look at anybody else, because I've seen where I've come from. I've seen where I have been. And so your journey, your trek, the walking that you've done, the 97 days so far, 98 today that you've done, is exactly what you need for you as an answer to your question. Because you can look to see where you've been. And that's actually going to be one of the very first points I make here in a minute, that in order for us to move forward, we got to be able to look, we have got to be able to look back. So it is a perfect space to be in. When you've done 98 days, when you've done 100 days, you can look back and you could point to every single one of those days and you could say, I got this. Right? I don't need to look at anybody else. I don't need another person to give me an example, because look at what I've done. Look at them 100 stones. Look at those 100 pieces, those 100 parts of the puzzle that I've put together for myself, because I've done that. And I can use that. You can use that as an example for yourself. Other thing is that milestones are, let me move over here for a minute. See a car coming down. So your milestones are references for your success. So each of those milestones that you've had, each of those milestones that you've done, each of those milestones that you've been celebrating, each of those milestones that you've been writing down, that's right, you've been recording and documenting, those are like tabs in your journey folder. So while the journey itself is an example, while the journey is an answer to the question, every one of the milestones that you've achieved is a tab that you can just grab, like you're grabbing a folder, and flip to that tab and see what was going on. What did I learn in that space? What did I learn at that time? What did I learn in that particular area? And so we can use that now as our binder for success. That's why I've been saying that this journal that you've been writing, that you've been keeping, is your manual for success. Is the manual that you're going to be doing. So, how do we set ourselves up now to design the next season of our growth? How do we design the next season of our growth? One, we've got to look back. We've got to look back at each of the moments along this journey, each of the spaces that we've been in. 100 days when you're finished here, 98 today, all right? 100 days, and we've got to begin saying, okay, what is it exactly that I've learned? And over the last several lessons, actually the last week or so, we've been talking about really kind of looking at the things that we've done, looking at those spaces that we found ourselves, looking at the lessons we've learned, looking at the keystone principles. Which ones are we going to take with us? Which ones are we going to apply? What are we going to be teaching? How are we going to begin teaching? How do we come up with our story, right? Remember that one? That was a fun one. How do we write our story? And so as we look back now, we want to identify what are the habits, what are the insights, what are the breakthroughs that we've had over the last 100 days. Because those are going to be the key stepping stones that we're going to use as we are now putting ourselves out into a longer journey, into a different journey, into a different space. Because for many of us, we have pivoted because now we have more confidence. We are able now to step into any space and navigate that space. Recently I was sitting down thinking about what we're going to be doing next. And I hope that you are familiar with and aware of and very much in tune with the fact that we are not ending our journey, but we are concluding this phase of where we are as we move into our discussion of strength and strategy and mindset as we move forward. So I was talking to someone recently about confidence, and there are some things that we need to address as we think about confidence. And one of the main ones is your ability to, within yourself, be comfortable with who you are. Let me pause there. So am I comfortable with the person that I've become? Am I comfortable with the person that I have created? Am I comfortable with the person, the skills that this person has? Because if I am, then I show up differently, and the things that I do are much more creative. I'm much more willing to take chances. I'm much more willing to move in a way that is different from what I was doing before. Because before, I was very sheepish, I was very afraid, I didn't like to speak up. But now look at you, yeah? Look at how far we've come. And so looking at the last 100 days, or the 100 days that we will have, the breakthroughs that we've had, those are key things that we're going to be doing. Consider the milestones that have redefined your identity. Where are those pivotal points? Where are those pivotal pieces that you have to do, that you have to change? We went to the Louvre Museum when we were in Paris. And I was looking at some of the sculptures that were there. And I imagine what that piece of rock looked like, that marble, the stone, before the architect, before the designer, before the artist got a hold of it. What was it like? It was just a solid piece of block. It was nondescript. It didn't have any meaning. It didn't have any shape or form. But once the artist got hold of it and they started to chisel, they started to create something. And I could imagine that there was at some point where they had created a piece of a form, and there was a piece that was jagged and was maybe not quite where they wanted it to be. And so they went over there with a hammer and maybe a chisel, and they chipped that part off. Now, they didn't destroy the entire thing, but they thought taking that part off, or smoothing that part, or maybe even creating a jagged part was better for the complete product. And so there have been places where you have had to go and cut off a piece. You've had to refine a piece, shave a piece. You've had to smooth out a piece. You've had to maybe create some roughness. That's a good one, because we always talk about the smoothing, but we forget about the roughness that we've got to create. Man, there's just so much in me in this conversation right now that I've got to calm my brain down for a minute. Do you realize that there are some conversations that you can now have because of who you have now become? There were some times when people said and did some things to you that you did not respond to. You allowed it to happen because you thought that that was the way to be, because you thought that you didn't have the voice, you didn't have the authority, you didn't have the power to respond. And you now do that. I've had some conversations that I've recently with some people that I wouldn't have had just 60 days ago, 70 days ago, 100 days ago. But now I have them because the person that I have become is much, much different. So those milestones that you have are those things that have redefined your identity, and they are propelling you forward. And how do we now use that? How do we now use that to put us in a different space? So those are going to be things that we change. So remember, we're talking about habits, insights, and breakthroughs, right? What are the milestones? The milestones, those are those tabs along this pathway that you're going to use to reference the things that you've done. And then acknowledge both the triumphs, acknowledge both the triumphs, and also acknowledge the challenges. They're all a part of your journey. They're all a part of who you have been and who you are becoming and who you will be. Oh, come on, come on, come on. The person that you are now is the sum total of all the things that have happened to you. Now here, I want to make a plug. All right, Limitless Living says that we're not allowing anything from inside or anything from outside to prevent us from doing what we need to do. So I want to make a plug right here. There's some trauma that's happened in our past. There are some memories that we have from our past. There are some people that are in our past, and we are holding on to, we've not processed, we've not dealt with some of those situations, memories, traumas, and people. If we're going to be successful, then those cannot be weights that are bogging us down. When we talked about the fact that there was a lightness that comes with us when we are in a certain space, when we have done the work, there's lightness that's there. And there are too many things in our lives that we allow to bog us down, that we allow to pull us back, that we allow to hinder and to impede our progress forward. We can't do that. If we're going to move forward, if we're designing our next season, no. We can't allow those things to continue to do that. And so, as painful as it may be, this next season requires some strength. It requires us to be brave. Remember, bravery is not the absence of fear. Bravery is acting despite, in spite of, in fear, in the presence of fear, and still doing what we need to do to be successful. So as we are moving into this next season, there are some things that we've got to address, right? They have all contributed to who we are, the positives and the challenges. And so now I don't have to like what has been done. I don't have to like the people. I don't have to like the memories. But I say to the people, to the things that were done, and to the memories, okay, thank you for what you've done. Thank you for the strength that you have allowed me to develop. Thank you for the creativity that you have prompted within me. Thank you for the problem solving that you forced me to have to do. And now moving on, now moving forward. So looking back encompasses all of that. It encompasses looking at the things that we've learned. It encompasses looking at the memories. It encompasses looking at the milestones. And it encompasses us saying, okay, now let's do this. Let's move. Let's go to where we need to be so that we can continue to be successful. What you've been through so far is the first step. Yeah, first step is the first step. And envisioning where you want to go, we have to first look back to see where we've been and the things that we've learned. We've got to take an assessment of what those are so that we can move to the next space. Yeah. Your past. Here's a good one. Write this down. Your past is the foundation on which your future is built. You got that? The past is the foundation on which your future is built. So, as we map our next chapter, and right now it's cold, by the way. It's crazy weather. It got hot, well, warm, and now it's cold again. And so we've got beautiful trees. Look at that. But it's much cooler than it was just a day ago, if you guys remember looking at that episode. And it's a little rainy and cloudy, but hey, we do what we got to do, right? So how do we map our next chapter? What's the blueprint? Number one, we want to set new goals. So we've had some things that we wanted to do health-wise. You wanted to lose some weight. You wanted to get blood sugars better. You wanted to get, maybe you wanted to save money. You wanted to improve your relationships. You wanted to change jobs. You wanted to be more, whatever it is. Now we've got to look to bigger, grander goals. One of the things when it comes to health is that we sometimes get bogged down looking at specific items within health: weight, blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, whatever the condition is, the chronic disease. And one way to do that is, yes, to look at those specifics. But beyond that is to understand that when we improve our health, when we improve our metabolic health, then all of those other things that fall under it get better. So what I encourage people to do is to have a bigger, broader view of where we want to go. So yes, I want my blood pressure to be better. Yes, I want my weight to be better, but I want to be healthy. And if I work on being healthy, if I work on improving my metabolism, if I work on improving my wellness, then all of the metabolic diseases get better. And so as we're thinking about that next phase, we're thinking about the next thing that we're going to do, I want us to think a little bit more broadly about the goals that we want. And then we'll come back and we'll break those down, right? Because remember, we're still going to be using our SMART goal, smarter, right? To find those milestones within our goal. But I don't want you to limit yourself to that one specific thing. It is, and now, I guess let me hasten to say, this is not the intention of you creating a goal that's too broad, right? That's not the idea here. But sometimes we limit ourselves as we think about our goals, right? Let's shoot for the stars. If we land on the moon, great. But if we shoot for the clouds, guess where we're going to land? Not anywhere near where we are able to go. So we're going to set goals that are grand. We're going to set goals that are lofty. We're going to set goals that stretch us. And we're going to use our specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound, evaluate, and refine. Right? So smarter is what we just did. So specific, what is the next goal? And so based on where you have been, based on what you have learned, based on the new skills that you have, now let's go ahead and set a new goal. So I'm going to set a goal that I am, and I think I've mentioned this to you guys in a couple of episodes, I am going to be working on toning my body. Now I've lost weight. I've lost my blood sugars are better, and now I need my body to be that machine. I need my body to be that machine that takes me into the future. I need my body to work for me. I need my body to be healthy. My body to, and a whole bunch of other things that I need my body to be. But that's what I'm working on. So my next goal, I've lost the weight. Now let's get some toning going on. So I'm gonna be working on my strength with some specific strategies, and also continue to work on my mindset, because that is of paramount importance as we continue moving, as we continue going in the direction of success. So what is going to be your thing? What's your next goal? You've done the 100 days. I've done the 100 days of walking. Okay? What am I pushing myself to next? What am I going to be working on? Give me just a second here, guys. Yeah, so what's the next thing? What's the next step? What is the next piece that you're going to be doing? So you're going to sit down and you're going to map that out. Where am I heading? We're going to think about what is going to be our next milestone in this next process. What's going to be the next thing that I need to do? What's going to be the next piece of the puzzle that we're going to put together? And then you want to break that down, break it down into smaller steps. So what do I have to do? Well, I have to create a way to be able to do my toning. I have to create a way that that toning now shows up for the community, right? So how do I get you guys to be able to see that? I've got to work on a way to be able to have those discussions as we are working through that, because you guys are, and I want you to know that we are in this walk together, right? You guys are coming, you're getting a front row seat, right, to see how on a daily basis this works, how on a daily basis this is happening. So when we talked about that teaching part, right, my method of teaching is what I'm doing right now, right? I've decided that my method of teaching is with my show. My method of teaching is with this journey that we're on. My method of teaching is with Limitless Living on the Go. This is my method of teaching. And so what's my next goal? My next goal is to continue to share. My next goal is to improve my health, right? To become well-rounded. You see a play on words there? Not rounded, but well-shaped, I guess I should say. All right, so that's my next. And so I have to sit down, I have to break that up. Smart, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound, then evaluate and refine or readjust, okay? So we're going to plan that. So am I going to be looking at this on a daily basis, weekly basis? What is it going to be? So you've now looked into the future. You've imagined what it is you're going to be building. Imagine what the next goal is going to be, or next step is going to be. And now we're breaking it down, okay? Breaking it into smaller pieces. And then you want to consider how to leverage the things that you have learned. How do they now play into what you're going to be doing? Because remember, you have acquired some amazing skills. Now, how do I put those into practice? How do I put those into my plan? Because I want to use those, because they are things that that are now part of who I am. How do I use what I've learned to this new space that I say I'm taking myself? And then you want to always, of course, use community. Community, community, community. And I love the fact that when we talk, when you guys walk, when you watch, that you send messages. But join a community, get into the community. There are communities all around. You may have a walking community in your area, walking community at your job, walking community in your family. That's fine, right? We have a community that's amazing. The people in our group that are building, that are on our community from our show and from other spaces. Yeah, come on. So leverage the community for accountability. So a clear blueprint, when you have a clear blueprint, it transforms your aspirations into actionable steps. Let me say that again. It transforms your aspirations into actionable steps. So it's no longer theory now, but they are the things that we do stepwise to get to where we need to be. When you plan intentionally, your growth becomes sustainable and continuous. Oh, yeah. But if there's no plan, you may have some progress. If there's no plan, you may have some benefit. If there's no plan, you may have some growth. But the direction that you go, the consistency that you have, the continuity you have, and ultimately the overall success that you have is decreased because you have not put a plan into place. And so remember, as we're coming down to the end of this journey, what are the things that you're going to be put into place? What are the things that you're going to put into place so that we can continue to be successful? Okay? All right. And so what we want to continue doing is we want to continue refining. We continue growing, continue setting ourselves up for success. So number one, you want to reflect on the things that you've done in the past, the growth that you've had, the places that you found yourself. What are the benefits that you've had? You're going to begin thinking more globally about who you are, what you want to do, where you want to go. What is what's the next thing that you're going to do? What's the next thing that has to happen if you're going to be successful in the space you say you want to go? And then you want to begin applying the SMART goal process and method for success. That's how we map our future. That's how we change. That's how we grow. That's how we continue moving in that space. That's how we create a roadmap for the future of where we want to go. All right? So yeah. So that's right. Another one of my exciting conversations. I love this. But you know, we can't ever do anything without doing our challenge. So let's go ahead and grab your journal. And I'm in a nice, let me see if I can. So I am standing, there's a dead end. All right, it's a nice little area. And I mean, I am just in a canopy of trees. So look at that. And it's a beautiful, beautiful area. So maybe let me turn around this way also so you guys get to see. Yeah, just love it. Love it. All right, so here's our challenge. So this is designing your next session of growth. Get your journal. So number one, reflect. So write down some of the key lessons and habits that you've learned. What's going to be the fundamentals of this new you? So when I created Limitless Living, there were some fundamentals that I had that I put together. There were some fundamental things that had to happen if people were going to be successful. So what are those? What are they going to be for you? What are you using? What are going to be the overriding underpinnings of what you do? You want to, number two, identify one new exciting goal for the next 30 days. You want to use the SMARTER acronym to define it clearly. Remember, we want it to be clear so it's not ambiguous, so that we know when we've reached it, that we have milestones that we can map out. Outline the first 3 action steps that you'll need to take to begin this new chapter. What are the first 3 that you need to do to be successful as you move into this new chapter? And then you want to write a short affirmation statement that captures your readiness for this next season. Such as, I am prepared, adequate, and eager to embrace the next chapter of my growth. We're going to be successful. We are successful. You've been successful. And we're going to be even more successful as we move into the future. And we've got to do that. We've got to assess. We've got to look back. We've got to say, hey, where are those spaces that we have been successful, and how do we use this now to go to a higher place? So today, you know, this is a powerful transformation and a powerful transition from reflecting from the thought to behavior. Our thoughts only get power. They only come to life when we infuse them with action. And today, as you're crafting the next part of your journey, you are infusing your thoughts, what you've learned, with action. By creating a detailed plan and embracing the growth mindset that you've had, you ensure that your journey doesn't end at 100 days. You ensure that it moves. This is just the beginning of a vibrant, ever-evolving life, a life full of limitless possibility. Thank you for joining me. I'm glad that you're here. Continue moving, continue working, continue living limitlessly, because nothing from outside and nothing from inside is going to prevent us from doing what we need to do to be successful. This is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Woode with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. We're creating the life we've always wanted, and we're living limitlessly. So nothing from outside or inside is going to prevent us from doing that. We're presenting our best self, our best health, and our best plans for our life. We'll see you tomorrow on day number 99 on my 100-day walk to consistency and health. I'll see you on the walk.
Hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode, and as we approach the end of our 100-day walk to consistency and health, I want to pause and invite you to look ahead. Because what we've built together is just the beginning of an even more powerful journey. Over the past 100 days, you've developed a habit. You've developed resistance, resilience. You've developed strength, and things that form the cornerstone of your success. Now, as we close this chapter, I'm excited to share that our next series is on the horizon that's going to build on everything that you've learned so far. In the upcoming series, we want to dive deeper into advanced strategies that harness your newly cultivated strengths, refine your mindset, and elevate your strategic thinking. Imagine transforming daily consistency into an unstoppable force that propels you to tackle even greater challenges with confidence. My vision for the next phase is simple: to empower you not only to sustain your current success, but to channel it into innovative strategies that drive you past these impacts that you've had to more lasting, more fulfilling impacts. We've explored how to leverage your inner strength and channel it into areas of leadership, creativity, and advanced personal growth. And we're going to go further. The habits you form are the foundation on which you can build a life of limitless potential. Every lesson, every win, every setback during the past 100 days has prepared you for what's next. Think of today as a bridge where the consistency and the discipline that you've mastered become a stepping stone towards a future when strategy meets mindset. In the next series, it's designed to help you integrate these principles to every aspect of your life, making your progress both sustainable and exponential. I invite you to stay tuned and actively participate as we embark on this new chapter. Reflect on your journey so far and consider the way that you can take these lessons to the next level. Let's step into the future together. Thank you for being part of this transformative journey. Your growth, resilience, and commitment are what this community needs. Get ready to embrace the next series, where your strengths, strategy, and mindset will propel you to even greater heights. Stay tuned, and I'll see you as we begin this exciting new chapter together.